my pension dropped 14%. Are ombudsman decisions really fit for purpose? What would you do if your pension dropped by 14% in a year when the markets were actually rising? And after nearly 2 years of asking questions, you still didn't get clear answers? This is that story. And it raises one important question: are ombudsman services really fit for purpose? This all relates to my pension provider, Prudential. It started with a simple concern. My pension with Prudential was down around 14% in 2024. At the same time, broader markets were up. So naturally, I raised questions with Prudential. What exactly was my money invested in? What charges were applied? What specifically caused the loss? But from my experience, the responses I received from Prudential felt slow, generic, and did not fully address the specific points I was raising. Weeks turned into months, and the process became increasingly difficult to navigate. Eventually, I escalated my complaint to the Financial Ombudsman Service. At this stage, you expect independence. You expect a proper review. You expect clarity. And to be fair, communication from the Ombudsman was more direct. There were emails, calls, and engagement. But this is where the key concern arises. Because despite the process, the outcome appeared to rely heavily on the explanations provided by Prudential. And I want to be clear, I am not making accusations. But it does raise a reasonable question: if decisions are largely based on information provided by the same company being complained about, how independent is the outcome in practice? And this leads to something even more important. Do ombudsman services actually have enough power to challenge large financial institutions like Prudential effectively? Because if their role is limited to reviewing process rather than deeply investigating accountability, then what does fair resolution really mean? Is it a full resolution? Or simply a procedural one? In my case, after nearly 2 years, the complaint was not upheld. I did not receive a detailed breakdown that fully addressed my original concerns. There was no clear sense of accountability and no real sense of closure. And this is where it becomes bigger than just my experience with Prudential. Because if you are an ordinary individual, especially someone older, you may not have the time, knowledge, or energy to challenge a large financial provider over a long and complex process. So the real question becomes, is this system truly accessible and effective for those who need it most? This video is not about saying Prudential or the Ombudsman have done anything wrong. But it is about asking an honest question: are ombudsman services truly fit for purpose, given their current powers and limitations? Or does the name ombudsman create an expectation of fairness that the system may not always be able to fully deliver? I'd genuinely like to hear from others. Have you had a similar experience with Prudential, another pension provider, or the Ombudsman? Share your experience in the comments. Because the more we understand, the clearer the picture becomes.